This podcast is hosted on podhome.fm, the most modern podcast hosting platform. Podhome offers unlimited episodes and podcasts, and unlimited use of Podhome AI, which generates transcripts, clips, chapters, title suggestions, show notes, and much more. And all of that for just $15.99 a month or $185 per year. That's a steal. So go to podhome.fm and start your 30-day trial now. And enjoy the show with Joe.
Transmitting live from the Asylum Studios, deep in the bowels of Southwest Texas, it's the Joe Rooz Show. The show where we talk about anything and everything. Where nothing is sacred, nothing is watered down, and nothing is PC.
Alrighty, hey folks, this is Joe Rooz, and it is great to be with you once again, transmitting live, of course, from the Asylum Studios, from the Pimple on the backside of Texas, the beautiful city of Eagle Pass, and of course, as always, doing the very best we can to bring you the best quality talk radio we can muster without all the bluster. Welcome to the Joe Rooz Show. And it is Wednesday, the 18th of February, 2026. It is 19:02 hours. This is a record, folks. A record. Third time this week we started on time. That is unheard of. But we're here, and we're ready to go. Folks, we got a great show for you tonight. Really looking forward to talking to our guest who's already waiting for us backstage. But before we get into our guest and all the great conversation that we're going to have tonight, just a little bit of the housekeeping stuff just to kind of clear the floors. All right. Folks, remember, this is a live show, weeknights, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it live on Rumble at rumble.com/Joe Rooz. And if you must watch it on YouTube, it's youtube.com/@Joe Rooz. Of course, YouTube has to add the extra to it because YouTube is just extra. You need to get away from YouTube. Please come to Rumble. Please. I'm going to get kicked off YouTube very soon, so please just come to Rumble. Rumble, it's beautiful here. It's 72 degrees, got blue skies, white billowy clouds, the palm trees. The water's beautiful. It's beautiful here. Come to Rumble. Come to Rumble. All right? Please come to Rumble. Like I said, I don't know how much longer YouTube's going to tolerate me, so we might be off before you know it. So I don't want to lose you folks over on YouTube, so come on over to Rumble. Like I said, it's a beautiful place. Free speech, folks. Free speech. No censorship here. All right. Also, do me a favor, folks. When you do check out the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, your family, your followers. That way you'll help us to boost the ever-loving algorithm. Boost the algorithm. They tell me it's important to do, so let's do that. Okay, so let's boost the algorithm. Whatever the algorithm is, just boost it. Help us get found. Seriously, though, help us get found. All right? It's important. We like to get, we've been seeing a nice increase in our downloads on the audio. The video stuff's been doing much better, too. We picked up a bunch of new followers on Rumble. So come on over to Rumble. You'll see it's nice. You'll like it. Trust me. And we appreciate that. We really do. Every new follower comes along here. It just makes it feel like we're doing something worthwhile. So we appreciate that. All right. So don't forget. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends, your family, and your followers. All right. Now listen, folks. Most people have ideas, right? I think you can't go a day without an idea. You talk about them. You think about them. You plan them. But very few people actually build anything real off of the idea. Now, tonight's guest is someone who did. He started in e-commerce when people didn't trust the internet. He built companies around packaging, fulfillment, distribution, and now creator-led commerce, which we're going to have to discuss in some detail later. He didn't chase the hype. He built infrastructure. Now, tonight, we're going to be joined by Paul Shrater, and we're going to have some really great conversation, some great information as we move forward through this discussion tonight. Now, of course, tonight's show is brought to you, our connection tonight is brought to you by Podmatch. All right. Now, Podmatch is like Tinder for podcasters. All right. The algorithm thing. All right. Host builds a profile. The guest builds a profile. The algorithm puts them together. And as the host, you get to say match or pass. That's how it works. And it's great. It is fantastic. Most podcast guests and hosts spend hours researching connections, coordinating interviews, and working on administrative tasks while only spending, honestly, 10% of their time on what really matters, and that's bringing the audience impactful podcasts. Now, what Podmatch does is Podmatch enables guests and hosts to reclaim that time through automations, streamlined processes, so that they can focus on doing what's really important, and that's bringing content that serves their listeners. So check out podmatch.com/member/Joe. That's the profile for our show right here. Take a look at it. Maybe it's something that you'd be interested in signing up for. And if you do, you never know. Maybe we'll get matched. You come on my show. That would be great. We would love to have you, as long as you have something worthy of talking about. Let's put it that way. I don't want someone to come on there and just praise their cats all day. Okay? We want impactful conversations. So check out Podmatch, podmatch.com/member/Joe. That's podmatch.com/member/Joe. And let's bring Paul in. Hey, Paul.
So
how you doing?
I'm going to talk about my rabbits now.
Okay. Rabbits are fine. Rabbits are fine. I don't like cats. I am not a cat guy, all right? Not that there's anything wrong with cats or cat people, okay? But I personally don't like cats, and I don't want my show filled with cats. All right? All right. And that's trauma, because when I lived in New York, the first apartment that I had, one of the neighbors fed every friggin' stray cat in the neighborhood. Wow. And I had a beautiful I had a beautiful Cougar LS, midnight blue, blacked out windows. It was gorgeous, gorgeous. I went out one day, and there's scratches all over the hood, all over the roof. I turned the AC on. It smelled like cat piss.
Oh.
I was livid. So we took some extreme measures. But
sorry to trigger your trauma.
It's okay. When I start twitching and the drool starts coming out of the corner of the mouth, then you worry about it. Right now, I'm good. I left my pistols in the other room, so we're good. I'm not going to shoot the screen. We're okay tonight. All right. Well, Paul, I'm really glad you're here, though. But like I told you before the show, some of the Podmatch guests that we've had of late have not been the most reliable. But I do appreciate you showing up. Thank you very much for that. You have no idea what you got yourself into tonight. So I hope you'll be. I hope you won't be twitching and drooling by the time the show's over. No, I'm kidding. Everybody has a good time with us. At least we try to, anyway. But listen, before we get into the really serious stuff, what's something that you pretend to understand but you really don't?
Oh, that's a good one. I actually understand most things, and I actually don't pretend. If I don't know it, I'm going to say I don't know it and go research it. And ironically, I've been really enjoying, whether you like it or not, AI for research. It can, especially some of the deep research tools where you literally within a couple of minutes, it can go deep on a topic. And you can learn it without having to surf through the web and spend 2 hours. Like what would take me hours to find, or let's say I'm trying to source something. I can give me 10 companies and their contact information that do the following, gotcha. Right there, yeah. So I would, my answer may be different, than others. I don't pretend. If I don't know it, I'll say I don't know it, and let me go figure it out and find the answer.
Well, that's good, and that's what you should do. That's the proper way to do it. I like using AI. I don't mind it. I use AI to do a lot of the stuff for the show. It helps me organize my notes, and it helps me do with my graphics, because I cannot afford to have a Photoshop expert on staff right now. We will someday, once Spotify realized that I'm better than Joe Rogan and gives me a contract.
And I'll become a legendary episode of
That's right. Absolutely. This will be the episode that I'll get known for having a meltdown over cats. That's that, and that'll be the part that goes viral.
And then you'll be number one.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if I want to be number one for that though, to be honest. But I guess I'll take whatever I can get. Let's put it that way. All right. So what's one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you in the first 5 minutes? Don't take 5 minutes to talk about this, but I'm just saying in the first 5 minutes of meeting you.
Sometimes I've had a few friends introduce me as the guy who put fruitcake into space.
Oh man, you blew it for me.
You're going to use that later.
You stole my thunder, man. I was gonna open with that. Man, gee, I knew I should have gave you the questions before.
I can hold that off, and you can use it later.
Yes, I'm gonna drop it down to number 33. Okay, yeah, that's right.
That'll be the teaser for people that, what the hell is he talking about?
Right. Exactly.
Sometimes
they call it the hook. Yes. So the new thing now, from what I understand with podcasting, is that you tease and then you have the hook that get people to actually listen all the way to the very end.
So I'll tell you, I know we're going to talk about my background stuff,
yes.
But diving in, out of college, I went into film and TV as a producer and writer, and was on the Sony lot, and ended up selling a script for $1 million and all that. But one of the biggest takeaways from that sort of era of storytelling that I was in, that I took with me to a lot of business and marketing and what's happening today, is really boiling down. I'm going to oversimplify it, but it's a great analogy to exactly what you were just talking about, which is whenever you watch a movie, let's say it's an action movie, and someone says, "What'd you think of the movie?" Usually you have one or two answers. You're like, "It was entertaining." I mean, you might say it sucked, but let's pretend you liked it. You're like, either it was entertaining, or like, "Oh my gosh, it was amazing." Mm-hmm. You can boil it down to one difference as to why you would say it was either just entertaining or why it was like something amazing. And it's because of the setups and payoffs that you were just talking about. Like if you watch an action movie and it's linear, where this happens, then this, then this, then this, it could be entertaining just for the visuals and all that, but it's not engaging your brain. If you watch an action movie where it sets up what is that? What's that clue? Who's that guy? What's it, and then it pays one of them off, but then sets up another, and then sets up a couple more, but then pays off an earlier. And if it keeps going with sets up things that are setups and payoffs, by the end, you've been so engaged. You're like, that was an amazing movie.
Right.
And so it's a similar thing with, anything you're watching. It's why, radio shows and news things, they give you this hook right before they go to commercial. They want you to come back. It's the setup and then the payoff.
Right.
I hate the videos online these days that are like 5 things about the last one will blow you away, and they do that because they want you to watch the whole video. Right. So then the algorithm boosts it. And so now it's literally because I've seen that gamification of the algorithm. If I see him say it, sometimes I literally
just scroll through it. Just
frustration. I'm like, I am not getting suckered into watching the last one, which is never anything special.
And at 99.9% of the time, it is something so common sense.
Yes.
It's like exactly not worth the wait. It really isn't. But you see, nobody knows how many questions that I have for you. So if I say number 33, maybe I have 28 questions. I don't know.
That's the bonus track, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what's going to go behind the Patreon. The paywall.
So you want to learn about fruitcake in space?
Do you want to find out how you launch fruitcake into space twice?
Yes.
See, I did my research. I'm good. All right. Now let's. Okay. All right. 15 minutes in already. Now you've been building business since the early days of e-commerce, back when people were still nervous about even just putting their credit card into a website, and then since then you didn't just build one company. You built an entire ecosystem around packaging, fulfillment, distribution, and now, like we said earlier, about the creator-led brands. So I want to start from the beginning with you, though. Okay, I want to get the origin story. All right, everybody loves an origin story.
Sure.
So I want to do. So what kind of kid were you growing up?
Normal kid, normal upbringing. Smart, went to an Ivy League school, eventually, and then
So
wanted
you
to
were the kid that everybody picked on.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Because we see kids like you, where I went to school, they used to pick on those kids, and now we look at them and goes, "That son of a bitch."
No, I grew up in Southern California. It was a little different vibe,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, more laid back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it LA's fine, but it ain't home. New York's home, but it ain't.
I'm
home.
outside of LA. It's actually a suburb. So.
Oh, is it really? Nice. Very nice. Very nice. But so seriously though, were you always like entrepreneurial, or did that come later on in life?
I when looking at going to college, it was either theoretical physics or business. Believe it or not.
That's okay.
So I decided, business, and went to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania undergrad, and which is one of the few like undergrad business like school type programs for all 4 years, and really enjoyed it. And it's a great also international school to meet a lot of people from different backgrounds all over the world doing, interesting stuff, and coming from, a suburb to all of a sudden big city, and international school was great. And it's funny, people like, random tangents will ask me like, oh, well, what did you learn there? What did you take away from, school? Right. And I said, well, the one class that was the most useful in my career was contract law. It's because you end up like as an entrepreneur, like dealing with so many different agreements, to have a working understanding of contracts and be able to, and this is pre-AI, before it could do it for you to some degree, but to be able to draft something to a degree and then have an attorney kind of give it a once over saves a lot of money.
Well, I'm sure it does.
And anyway, so that's a random tangent on origin story, but
that's fine.
Continued on, as I mentioned before, into film and TV after college, and did that for 9 years. And then, as you mentioned, I love businesses that are about societal changes and getting in early when something is shifting in society. And most of the businesses I've done and the opportunities I've seen have been related to that. And so when I saw, the .com bubble had burst, and, people were this new thing called e-commerce, where there's actually a real product, not just sort of vaporware software, that people were trusting putting their credit card online for the first time back then. It was like, I'm not going to put that online. It was before social media and everybody's, life is out in the open. And so I said, but there's going to be a ton of demand for people wanting to buy stuff on this new thing called e-commerce and this new thing called the internet. Yet there's not going to be a lot of supply, not going to be a lot of companies with stuff on there. So let's do something in that space. And that's kind of what started. And it was me, 500 square feet, 4 shelves, a computer, no employees. It was a side hustle before that term even became a thing. Right. And 3 months into it, it had taken off. We had like a second 500 square feet office. We had 5 employees, ended up getting a warehouse. And I shifted careers. So that's how that got started.
Well, it's interesting. So 2 things. One, your story of your education background. That's interesting to me, because I had similar tack, not theoretical physics, but I started in college in mental health and human services. I switched over to business administration, marketing management, and obviously I'm a success at marketing management, as we can tell, since I'm so popular. And then I ended up working in law enforcement for my entire career. So, yeah. So I understand the choices that we make. I get it. And then I wanted to ask you about the movie deal you made. You said you sold a script for $1 million. Anything we may have seen?
No, it never got made, and they ended up spending another like $1.4 million rewriting it, and it still never got made.
Wonderful use of funds. So talking about the e-commerce stuff, so you started a company called Minimus back in 2004, right? Your e-commerce, yep. I guess my question is, what made you see that opportunity when most people didn't see it?
Well, some of it, I mean, the idea of this internet thing, I just sort of saw that it was going to be a thing. The actual business itself came from a family trip. I actually didn't go on it, but it was my sister, brother-in-law, and my parents, and they rented a cabin in New Hampshire. Everybody had their favorite, salad dressing, barbecue sauce, cereal. And at the end of the week, half empty bottles and stuff, they weren't just going to throw it away.
Right.
They're not just, they didn't want to throw it away. They weren't going to stick it in their suitcases and fly home with it. They're like, wouldn't it be great though, if you could buy your favorite brands in miniature size? And I was like, there's this new thing called e-commerce. We should do travel size toiletries. We should do single serving food items. We should do everything miniature. So I always tell people we were the Amazon of miniature things before Amazon was Amazon. And 2,500 SKUs from 300 manufacturers, from Procter & Gamble on down to mom and pops, warehousing it all ourselves and shipping it out. So having to build the systems for shipping and customer service and building relationships with like FedEx and the US postal system and all that. So learned it all and built it all over years and years.
Wow. So, all right, I have to ask, I can't wait to 33. So how did you end up shipping fruitcake into space?
So one day my customer service person comes to me and they're like, Paul, NASA's on the phone and there's a product that we're out of that they had ordered. And I tried to offer them a substitute. It was packets of Sous Bee brand honey. And they're like, I tried to offer them, Kraft honey packets. And they were like, no, this has already been tested in the NASA food lab. It's going up on the space shuttle at the time to the International Space Station. And they're like, what do I do? I figured you'd want to talk to them. And I'm like, yes. So I get on the phone and I look up online and I see they've been ordering from us for like a year or something, just off our website, of all kinds of different like little packets of like barbecue sauce and ketchup and even like shelf stable cheese and hummus and other stuff they'd been ordering. So end up talking to them and saying, don't order online. Let me get you in our wholesale department. And so you have somebody to work with. And they're like, great. And I called Sous Bee honey, and the FedEx overnighted a case of honey to the NASA food lab. And we ended up doing a press release with the CEO of Heinz. I think Kraft was like a bunch of different brands. Like we got joined in on it. And there's actually a cool moment when my daughter ended up going to the Space Museum in Los Angeles on a school field trip, showed me some pictures, and she showed me this cool picture of space food. And they had little packets of stuff in the display. And I was like, that's like, we shipped that. And It was like a really cool, like full circle moment. But one day the food lab calls me and says, Paul, I got a weird problem and, challenge. Maybe you can help us on it. We have an astronaut who wants fruitcake as their special item for the holidays. There's a problem though. We're a government agency and they use rum to preserve fruitcake, and we can't have alcohol go up, government agency. So can you find a preserved fruitcake that doesn't use rum? And I was like, challenge accepted. This is a giant customer, right? So I'm ordering one fruitcake. So, it's not a big customer in general, but fun. So I call every fruitcake manufacturer in the United States, and they all use rum. And I was like, oh no, maybe they already knew this. And so then I start looking around the world, and I find an abbey of monks in the United Kingdom who for like 400 years in their commercial bakery have been making fruitcake without rum preserved. So they ship over for free the 6 fruitcakes they need to test at the lab. It passes, goes up to space. Astronaut loves it, emails the monks from space. They're all excited. They call me, and I get them in touch with NASA's PR office that I'd already worked with. And so that way they could publicize that their fruitcake went to space. And then 2 years later, the astronaut went up again, and then the monks charged me for the fruitcake, but it went up twice. So.
That's great. That's a great story, though. I mean, it's not often you meet somebody who had fruitcake transported to the International Space Station.
Yeah, you should see the fuel surcharge.
I can only imagine.
FedEx joke. No.
All right, you caught me off guard with that one. All right, you got me. All right. Because I was just thinking, I was just rattling off in my head yet another first on our show. We've had Nobel Peace Prize nominees on this show. We've had theologians and scientists and medical professionals and you name it on this show. And now we can add a fruitcake salesman to.
That's how I'm going to be known.
The fruitcake salesman, yes. That's great. That's great. So one thing about your story really stands out. And that's that you just didn't build one company. You built the infrastructure around the business. Packaging, fulfillment, distribution, like we said earlier. What made you expand vertically like that instead of just focusing on the one thing?
Yeah, I'll dive into sort of a deeper story here. So what happened was brands were coming to our e-commerce company assuming we were manufacturing all those minis. So they would say, "Hey, can you put my shampoo in a line of my sample sizes, or my barbecue sauce and a trial size or whatever?" I said, "Well, I don't make any of it, but let me see if I can help you." And I went to all these contract manufacturers and contract packagers all over Southern California, and they all said the same thing. They said, "How many millions of pieces do you want?" And I was like, they just want like 10,000 or 50,000. And they all said, "Go away." And I was like, wow, this is a weird, like old school, non-entrepreneurial industry. And I realized why. And it was because like when you or I were younger, to be an entrepreneur, you had to have wealthy parents. Internet comes along and e-commerce, and all of a sudden everybody can be an entrepreneur. When I was at the Wharton School, the entrepreneur program was on the second floor of the business building in the back corner. Now there's a 7-story building just for entrepreneurship. So
I didn't know that.
So spotting that was happening and that there was going to be this new era of like anybody can be, set up a website and drop ship from Alibaba or whatever it is, they're doing for their business, that it was going to be a flood, and there needed to be a scaling facility that could actually manufacture product and start people with small production runs and grow them to bigger. So launched a contract packaging facility, minimusproducts.biz is the website. And that we're unique in the country in that we do food, supplements, beauty, personal care, liquids, powders, particulates, packets, stick packs, bottles, jars, cans, bags, kosher certified, organic certified. We can do OTC for topicals and things like that. So it's quite varied, but really small minimums like $2,500, but all the way up to doing 1 million pieces for clients and things. So I like to be able to like support that sort of entrepreneurship, new brand launches, new company launches, celebrity stuff. But it continued with this sort of opportunistic, thing. We had Mondelez, the company that owns like Nabisco and all that. They came to me. We had a relationship with them from our e-commerce business, and they said, "There's some issues happening in food service distribution. Can you help us?" And so set up another company, Minimus Distribution, opened a warehouse in Ohio. In between Southern California and Ohio, we can hit 86% of the US population within 2 days using FedEx Ground. So I can ship a big box filled with master cases of snacks directly to food service operators. So that's what we're doing. We have a program now where we're servicing about 1,000 cafeterias, corporate, hotel, hospital, university with grab and go snacks of smaller brands that have difficulty getting national distribution. So we're working with one of the big national operators that manages all these locations to do that. So again, filling another need, that was happening in the industry. And that was because the big national distributors were moving away from stocking in their warehouses what the client wanted to what they made the most money on in their warehouse. And that wasn't snacks. That was things like frozen food and private label and all that. So seeing that shift, the big brands were like, hey, even brands like Oreo were having a tough time getting in every warehouse, and having the sell through of it for every one of their SKUs. So if they land a national account, there would be holes that they needed to get filled. And so that's sort of what kicked that off years ago. But yeah, it continued on with, other businesses partnered to do some merch for Roblox games. A friend of mine is big in that space, and I happen to have fulfillment clients who do a lot of the merch for like the big theme parks and things with the plush and the keychains and all that. So I can, and t-shirts, so I can have the top, people that can make that product for that industry. Partnered in a TikTok marketing agency with an agency that came over from China, working directly with the TikTok senior management here in California. And they wanted a U.S. partner to understand U.S. culture, U.S. business culture, and do that. So we're quadruple certified to represent brands, talent, affiliate marketing, and the entertainment side of TikTok. And we have some live selling studios in my building here. So a lot of it, again, just seeing an opportunity, seeing a trend, seeing what's happening, seeing, shifts and stuff. Our fulfillment business, which I sort of skipped over, is the largest thing we're doing, which happened after we started making product for people. and we were making their minis and then their full sizes. And they said, hey, down the street, you're doing fulfillment with your own e-commerce business, direct to consumer and wholesale. Can you do it for me too? And I was like, sure, why not? And, all of a sudden we were finding that we were getting all these people that hated their 3PL or third-party logistics fulfillment business for their brand, because that industry that predated the e-commerce and the internet was used to pallets coming in and pallets of goods going out to retailers.
Right.
You didn't buy, other than like the Sears catalog, you didn't really like go anywhere to buy and have to have a warehouse pick and pack your order and put it in a box and ship it to you. That's a whole different mindset than pallets coming in and pallets going out. And having customer service out to the public and having to talk to your client every day because there's, I need to sticker this for Amazon, or I need to put this in a bag, or can you bundle this, or I need to get this overnighted for whatever important event. And so having that sort of nimbleness, because we're used to doing it for ourselves, was a great sort of feeder. And we ended up with a lot of high profile celebrities being here in Southern California that also like that kind of, high touch nimbleness and hand holding that we're able to do. So I'll stop there.
No, you're good. But you know what? You made it sound, you made a very complex operation sound somewhat easy to understand. Which is difficult. And I'm sure that what you just told us barely scratches the surface of all the work and all the logistics that are involved with doing everything that you were just talking about.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other businesses. I just launched one a couple of weeks ago, which is a great product. It's apatrol20.com. Working with a nurse practitioner who for 6 years has out of her practice, had over 3,500 women that would lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, all naturally. So given the current trend of what's happening in that space, this is a great alternative, because they had, it was 99% effective, zero reported side effects. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing that you're doing this out of your medical practice. Like, we need to commercialize this. So we launched that brand to really commercialize the program she was doing out of her practice that was so successful.
It's only for women?
Men can use it too. I think the results tend to be about half as much for men as it is for women, but it works for men.
I'm just looking. I'll volunteer to be a test subject if you like.
I could use it myself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was debating whether or not I was going to sit here and have to unbutton my pants while we were
but
doing
yeah,
this today. So.
Apatrol20, APPETROL20.com. So now that's literally just launched like a week or two ago. So we're just about to start marketing it and all that. So that's what I'm excited about. And then I think you wanted to talk too about the creator economy and what I'm doing with our venture studio. So I have a bunch of partners in that, and that is really taking all that infrastructure we're just talking about, because we have all these celebrities who now want to be entrepreneurs. It used to be rock stars wanting to be actors, actors wanting to be rock stars. Now they all want to be entrepreneurs, but they're busy doing their career. They need somebody to be their operational business partner, not only for the time, but also the expertise. And we're really the only people I know of that have this fully integrated physical infrastructure of buildings and staff and companies and stuff that can execute on all these pieces. And we're also going to be launching a media studio as part of that with a partner to be able to create content and original IP shows and things like that to help support and bolster, the audience that the creator or the celebrity has themselves.
Wow. I mean, you're just all over the place. So from your experience, what separates someone who actually builds something from someone who just talks about their ideas?
Yeah, you started out the podcast talking about that everybody has ideas, but few people execute on those ideas. Some of it is time, some of it's money, some of it's fear. Most of the time it's fear, and for good reason. It takes a specific mindset of somebody to be an entrepreneur and feel comfortable in that space of continuously, no matter how successful you are, or you're never as successful as you believe you can be. So you live in a constant state of feeling like you're not achieving the opportunities that you see in front of you. And that's the answer I always give people when they're like perplexed by why do extremely wealthy people not just stop, working 80 hours a week or whatever and just fart around and, tour the world and have fun. And all. It's because they're driven by seeing opportunity and wanting to build things. It's not about money. It's about solving problems and building things that gives them that inner excitement. And when they see the next thing and more that can be done, that's the driving force. It literally is not about money.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, was there a point in what you've built in your, I hate using this word, but I'm going to use it anyway, journey, where you kind of just stepped back and looked at everything you've done and said, man, I've really built something here?
Yeah, well, the first moment was when people were out sick or on vacation and I didn't have to be the one filling in their job. That there actually was cross-trained people and like, wow, it's not that the system has been built that doesn't rely on me as the driving force underneath it. And that, I think once you get to the point of building a self-sustaining system, that to me was the first moment of feeling, like achieving something. And I think after moving into our larger building too, was another moment, like, walking down the second floor or the first floor, walking outside, and like, oh, wow, like this is a whole building. And, but really I would say it's also about the staff. We've had like our staff here, a lot of these people have been here over 10 years and, like just knowing like we're able to give them a place they enjoy coming to work every day. And we've built that environment and it, it's given them jobs and more people jobs as time has gone on. Like that is a fulfilling aspect. To me, again, it's about building something, for everybody and, being able to achieve that. So that's that moment, I think, is just seeing things continue to get built.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That does. I guess I can understand that from another perspective of as a manager. When I was directly involved with supervision of a larger crew than I am now, but to know that I can take a day off and the place wouldn't fall apart.
Yeah, the system was there.
Yeah, exactly. And I had people working with me. And I never, even though I was, the management, I never said they worked for me. They worked with me, and I tried to make it that way. There's nothing that I would ask them to do that I wouldn't do myself or I couldn't do myself, or wouldn't happily get involved with. I mean, if I had to stand in the back of a garbage truck and throw a garbage pail, I will, it doesn't matter. That I think also builds that sense of team, which also, makes the folks feel like that they are really part of something. And they learn the job better. They learn the job faster, and they're willing to actually put themselves in a situation where they'll take on more responsibility when the boss isn't around.
Yeah, well, and it's looking at people as people and not employees, and not their role or their level of their role or whatever, and putting some sort of value judgment on their people. And and I think that philosophy of looking at people as people and not all the other stuff that society puts on you as how you're supposed to think about people, would go a long way with what's happening in society these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my little pet peeves, this is off the subject, is the term human resources. Mm-hmm. That bugs me. I hate that term. All right, you're not a resource.
Yeah. And it's a weird department too, that it seems to always get like random things tacked onto it. Why is human resources the one who plans the company party, or why is like
exactly exactly straight. So do you think that entrepreneurship is something that can be taught, or is it something that's just wired into certain people?
For the most part, I think it's wired in. It's the way in which you see the world and operate. There are people who can do elements of entrepreneurship, but I don't consider them true entrepreneurs. I'll call them, and not to disparage MBAs, but MBA entrepreneurs. Okay. That's a mentality where you're looking at valuation, flipping it, selling it, exiting. Like that's more in your mind. It's like a corporate entrepreneur as opposed to an operator entrepreneur. it's a different type of entrepreneur. That one can be taught more, and but to actually like that one's about the money, tends to be, versus an operator entrepreneur tends to be about building something and getting that enjoyment over building it, knowing that you do it right, money comes with it, but that's not the driving motivating force. And I think that kind of drive and way in which one sees the world, that is an internal drive. That's not something you can teach somebody.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now you're working directly with creator-led commerce and TikTok. I hate TikTok. So from for people who like TikTok and are on TikTok, it's nothing personal. I just don't like it. It's not for me. I don't think a grown man should be on TikTok. I'm sorry. It's like I don't think a grown man should be on Snapchat either. So things like that.
So by the way, TikTok's algorithm will find out exactly what you're interested in for a grown man and feed that to you. You just have to spend enough time on it or run enough searches to teach it about you. It's literally unbelievable and that's the whole reason it's popular. It's the whole reason it's grown to what it is its algorithm to do that was beyond everybody else's. So it would look at you and your first input is, oh, I'm, X age male living in Texas. And it'd say, okay, you're interested in good looking women, dogs, golf, and race cars, or what, it'll make some assumptions that are the most common thing. Sure. And you'll start watching, it'll feed you those videos and it'll see, are you watching those videos? Are you skipping through? And like, oh, you didn't watch dog videos. You must like the girls, the cars, the golf, and cats, which I know you don't. But or let's say you didn't watch golf, it'll try basketball, and they'll keep going and going and going until it's literally given you thousands of parameters of exactly what you're interested in, to where now it's feeding you only the stuff that you're interested in, which, by the way, is great on one hand because it's like your own custom piece of entertainment. Like for me, I like watching funny cat videos or rabbit videos, or I like watching comedians. I like watching a lot of comedy bits and a little bit of news and a little, so the right mix comes in for my feed to be greatly entertaining to me. Some of the dangers is because it's so customized, people who watch it believe that is the rest of the world.
Right.
That is what everybody else sees. That's only what you see. And so when you start to believe that this customized feed of people's opinions and things are the truth of the world because it's on this TV screen in your hand, that's where the dangers happened. And I think has led to a lot of polarization in things, because people are in their own echo chamber and they don't get to really meet other people and share ideas and have a balanced view of stuff. You can still have your own opinions, but it's the algorithm bounds you so tightly.
Right. So then with that in mind, so using the algorithm, you could easily so you come across something and you share it with somebody, right? A direct share. Just, hey, look, this is cool. You're going to like this. I'm going to send it to you. So now in a sense, by you doing that, and they're looking at that video that you sent them, you're now telling their algorithm that they like this. If they watch it. Yeah. If you're going to get something from somebody, you're going to look at it, right? You're not going to just ignore it, especially for somebody you know. Yeah, so I suppose if you want to be really malicious, you could find something really, really
manipulate their algorithm. Yeah.
Yes.
But from a marketing and brand sales perspective, it's the most cutting edge, best place to be marketing right now as a brand is on TikTok. It's where everybody's attention is compared to other places, and the algorithm does a lot of the work for you to find your exact right customer. If you're a sports car, company, it's going to find Joe, because it knows Joe's, and by the way, it will know that the people who like sports cars also like these 1,000 other things. And so over time, it will literally find the exact right person who's most likely to buy also, because of the various parameters. So you have this pen, it's going to find the exact people who like to buy black pens that write really well from, TikTok, because it will take 3 months of content on the algorithm for the algorithm to keep trying and narrowing it. But once it does, huge spike when it lands on the customer base.
So if somebody's like, say for example, I was using TikTok on a regular basis, right? And I'm getting all this great stuff. Well, their estimation is great. I'm getting all this great stuff. And then say I put TikTok down for a little while. What does that do to the algorithm? Does the algorithm remember that still and still feed you that stuff?
Remembers everything about you.
Huh. That's scary. But I know I'm going to.
So do all of the other ones.
Oh yeah, I know that, and I'm just being. but I do have an idea right now. See, a good friend of mine loves TikTok and makes these hilarious TikTok videos. He keeps talking about them. I watched one or two of them, because like even though I am against TikTok, I have a TikTok for the show, and I don't post on it regularly. I'm trying to do better with that, but I get his videos every now and then. I see them, and so I tease him about it, and I'm going to mess with his algorithm.
By the way, there's a bit of a generational gap. Like I'm the same way. I'm a consumer, not a poster, because I don't necessarily care and feel the need to have everybody know everything about my life and my opinions about everything. Yeah. Younger generations are a lot more open with everything they think and are interested in, and so there's a difference there in how people utilize tools like that and what they want to share, publicly.
Well, yeah, I remember when I was younger and social media first started really developing, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff, and YouBoob. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so I was a lot more open about posting things about what I was doing through the course of the day, the week, whatever it might have been. But as I've gotten older, the elder I wax. Right. I don't want you knowing anything. Like I hate having to have Facebook and all these other social medias for the show. I mean, I do it for the show. That's it. I mean, if you look at my Facebook page, it's nothing about me really. One or two things maybe here or there. If I love to cook, so I'll sometimes I'll make a really nice plate and I'm proud of it. I'm going to take pictures of it and post it, whatever. But it's not often that I do it. I've made plenty of plates that are fantastic to look at and tasted, just like 5-star restaurant quality food, if I do say so myself. And they do. I'm telling you, Paul, don't make faces at me. I'm being serious. I cook really well. It's my sales pitch because I'm single. So my sales pitch now is, look, I cook really well, probably better than you do. I clean my house. I wash my own clothes. I can still wipe my own ass. Every now and then I take a shower. I'm a catch. I'm a pure catch.
I think I should be interviewing you for a dating show right now. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up is Joe.
Who can wipe his own ass? I'm not that old yet. So that's my thing. But I don't post anything anymore. I don't want to. Nobody needs to know anything about me. It's all about my show, and that's it. So
I'm the same way. I'm here. I'll pimp out my brands, and if any of your audience needs, fulfillment or contract packaging, minimusproducts.biz, minimustfulfillment.biz.
Of course.
There you go.
And all that stuff will be in the show notes, and
shameless self-promotion.
Why? Because the AI model that I use for my show notes will pick all that up and will put it in the show notes for me. So I don't have to do it. So it's so to pick your brain on this one. So for commerce, for e-commerce, TikTok is a great thing, right? So you can really get your product out there. You can generate sales. You can generate revenue through TikTok. For something like what I'm doing, or another show, podcast, or whatever, do you think TikTok is a good place for that particular medium to be promoted?
Absolutely, it's the best place.
Why?
Because literally, it will find the audience that's going to be most likely to be interested in the content that you have. It will do it automatically.
So that means I would have to make videos for TikTok.
Yeah, you should be making little clips of great moments from your show. By the way, TikTok will automatically find those great clips and recommend them to you and clip it for you, and then you can just put them on there.
Does it do that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I might have to look into this.
You should simulcast live on TikTok, and then
I can't yet. I don't have enough followers yet. They won't let me.
Oh, wow.
They teased. They sent me this thing. Hey, you can stream live on TikTok. Sign up for the TikTok studio, and I did that. And I said, "Oh, sorry, you can't. You don't have enough followers yet."
I think you can do it. You can just go live off your account. If you do it on a phone, if you do it on a camera, is when you have to have a follower count.
Right.
So you just need a phone on a tripod and just go.
Yeah, but then the sound's not going to be great because it's not going to be hooked up to my boards.
Wow.
And I'm into quality.
You could plug in a remote mic into your board into the bottom of the phone. And
who's buying it? No, I'm
$60 on Amazon.
Well, $60 right now is a lot of money for a broke podcaster. So no, I'm teasing. I have thought about it. And I have been looking at ways to do this. So I don't want to do it, but I do want the show to get found. I think that the quality of guests that I have on the show, and this isn't a joke. I'm being serious. The quality of guests that I have on the show, I think, bring some great information out to people, and I think I think we put together a good product, and I'd like to see more people get involved with it. So,
well, let's pack in some more information that's helpful to people.
Right. Okay. So, what does Sasquatch poop look like? No, I'm kidding. I did
Actually,
a show.
I know where to go to find it now.
I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure the algorithm will find something about that.
Actually, it'd be interesting to ask AI.
Right?
Where is Bigfoot?
Oh, I should do that. I'm going to do that. Yeah.
How would I go about finding him? What pattern would I use?
The funny thing is, last Wednesday, a week ago today, I had a good friend of mine. We put together a parody show of a guy who was violated by Sasquatch. And so, it was all made up. It was all just a joke, but we tried to play it off as serious as possible. And, I didn't think to run it through to see what.
Oh, so you need to go on TikTok and type in Bigfoot.
Okay.
Just type in there's AI Bigfoot clips that are hilarious of people having this talking Bigfoot with there's like an abominable snowman buddy of his, and they party and go to concerts and do crazy stuff, and
nice.
But it's hilarious.
I'm gonna have to do a
whole series of them.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure, because I could use a good laugh. So I want to get back to the actual interview here, because we're off to the left here.
Creator economy, I know you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and so that's where we are. We're in that block right now. We're in the creator economy section. What do you think is probably one of the biggest misunderstandings that people have about that type of a space, that TikTok space, the creator-led commerce, and so on?
I think it's maybe underestimating, or people aren't seeing what's right around the corner. And if you look at where people's attention is these days, like I have teenage kids, and they're on YouTube and TikTok. They don't watch network. In fact, we dropped network television from that. It used to be Saturday morning cartoon TV commercials where you learned about toys and products you wanted as a kid. Yeah. That's not where you learn about it anymore. The industry hasn't caught up to figure out where you learn about it and what to do about that. It takes many years for that kind of adjustment for a large system like the country and all these big companies and advertising agencies and everything to pivot and really understand where that value proposition is, where people's eyeballs are, and where the attention is. And so once you understand it's in those platforms, and the people creating the content on those platforms are these creators who have big audiences and get more views than the Super Bowl, on some of their videos, or than Saturday Night Live, even some of the low level, creators have more viewers than major TV shows and things.
That's true.
So
yeah.
Without all the overhead and everything, that some of those shows have. So this ability for these creators to have that platform and have those eyeballs and have that influence on people and their buying decisions, and the biggest thing that people I don't think have really realized is, for a while, if you remember, Instagram, you would have the model, they're holding the product with the photo, and it was hashtag ad at the bottom, and that requirement came out. But it was like consumers, it worked for a little bit, and then consumers like, okay, great, I know they don't really care about that product. Yeah, maybe I want to buy it to support them, but that started to fade away, and sort of things that were more authentic became more valuable, and as consumers became smarter to what was happening. And there are certain creators who understand that. Mr. Beast being the largest one in the world, I always use as a good example, is he did a great piece of content where he built in his warehouse a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with, chocolate rivers and giant Mentos and all that real fun, funny comedy bits and entertainment. Yeah. But he was launching a chocolate brand at the same time. And so a lot of the bits within that, video were utilizing his chocolate brand. And so it's a giant commercial for his chocolate brand buried within a piece of entertainment where not only is it quality entertainment that you're normally getting from him, but now there's a product that he's behind. So now when you go to the store and see that, not only are you buying it because you saw it there, you're buying it as a reward to the person for having provided you that value of the entertainment. You're wanting to support them. That level of psychological connection that these creators can have by being passionate about a brand within their actual piece of entertainment, where it's not just a blatant commercial, but actually building it into the entertainment itself, that's never been done. That is around the corner in a big way. And that's what I'm doing with my venture studio, we've got a whole team of, people and working with the big talent agencies and management companies and talent, and bringing product innovation from the food scientists and chemists and material scientists and inventors I work with, and, pairing them up so they can leverage their audience into really cool products. And that formula is the thing I'm launching now, again, leveraging my whole infrastructure to do that, because that is the future of consumer products.
So you would say that you would see something like live selling as a permanent change to commerce?
Yeah, in China, it's like more than half of all of e-commerce in China is now done live.
Really?
It is absolutely massive. They're about 5 years ahead of us in the evolution of that, which is interesting because if you watch live selling on things like TikTok, it's done with today's Chinese selling methodology. And to explain, if for people who've watched TikTok and seen lives, I'm going to use my pen again as an example. Get this pen; it's $1.99. We got 5 left. Ding, 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 ding. It's hard sell. It's price attributes in your face, high energy. The American consumer is not going to TikTok to be hard sold to. It would be better to go and say, this pen closed $1 million deal today and saved my career. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But before I do that, I got to tell you about this really cool stack of Post-its on this little mini palette, that we're offering. Now the consumer's like, oh, who's this guy? He's going to tell interesting stories. What is this about this pen? I'm actually making it narrative. I'm engaging the people. I'm not just selling attributes, price. I'm storytelling. And if you think about it as producing a show, like if you watch any of the nighttime talk shows, they do bits and they have these, planned out bits. It's the same thing with live selling. You have to think about it as a piece of entertainment you're creating that happens to be selling a product at the same time. You've got to emotionally connect to the audience. The American audience isn't yet ready to go to a channel where it's just like hype, hard sell. It may never even get to that point. It works to a degree, because if someone's interested in the product and the price, whatever, they'll buy it. But it could be way bigger as live selling in the US moves away from having been taught by that Chinese methodology and adapting a little bit more to American culture methodology and where we're at in our life cycle of live selling. But yes, absolutely. I do think it's going to continue to rise here in the US as it can become more entertaining.
So where should entrepreneurs really be focusing their marketing attention today?
I would say the creator economy and TikTok live selling. TikTok's algorithm, again, like we've talked about before, some of the other platforms, their prices coming out of COVID when all the brick and mortars were throwing their money, online, it jacked up the advertising costs. When the iPhone, Apple allows you to opt out of your data, marketing costs are higher to reach an audience because you can't hyper target as well. So it totally changed the dynamics of online advertising in a big way. So now when an algorithm can do a lot of the work for you, that's where a lot of brands should be spending their time and marketing effort, dollars, whatever it is, as well as working with people who have an audience, or even if they don't have like a huge audience, if they have an understanding of how to connect to an audience. And that's what a lot of creators are doing, but maybe not even able to articulate. They have an innate understanding of how to be entertaining, how to connect emotionally to the audience. And if you look at some of the biggest ones and ask them, they may not even know why and how they do it. Some of them who've analyzed it and study it, like a lot of comedians, sometimes you talk to them, they're just funny. Some of them analyze the jokes and the structure and when to hit something. And, there's a psychological science to it. And that spending time and understanding that storytelling has become more important than classic marketing ever has. Why does the Super Bowl commercials are a destination for people? Because they spend time with emotional storytelling in Super Bowl commercials. The rest of the year, they barely ever do that. And you're like, why can't you do that the rest of the year?
True. That's a good point. It's a good point.
It's engaging, it's entertaining, usually those are the best, it's a piece of entertainment that people tune in for. That mindset, I think, is now permeating a lot of marketing like never before.
I think you're right. So where do you see, or what do you think the creator economy is going to look like in 5 years?
I think it's going to dominate like all of commerce. There's going to be creators associated with their own brands, promoting other brands. There's going to be teams of creators that promote things together. It's going to mature as an industry in a bigger way because that's where people's eyeballs are. And this monumental shift is happening of eyeballs like that. I think you're going to see creators and get more involved in other forms of entertainment as they're starting to do, and sports entertainment just for creator leagues and things like that. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine is investing heavily in that world. So there's a lot of stuff like that I think is on the horizon that is about to be huge, and again good for the consumer too, because the more quality entertainment we can have. And I was in the entertainment industry when it was about the auteurs and supporting, good storytelling and art. And it became very corporate, where all the movies all of a sudden were about what toys can we make and what, ancillary properties can we sell. And it was very, the quality of storytelling, I think, went down for a while. In a weird way, people bash on streaming, but I think some of the streaming channels have allowed some of that storytelling to come back because they're so hungry for entertainment content. They'll support that sort of storytelling auteur thing because they don't need to sell tickets. It's just a piece of a broader thing to keep audiences, paying their monthly subscription rates. So it's a different mentality that I actually think has been helpful for storytelling compared to what was just prior to it. But I think it's going to continue to evolve. AI is going to throw a monkey wrench into all of it too. So that's another one.
Sure. It already has in a lot of ways. There are some things that I see when I'm scrolling through like Instagram and places like that. Sometimes you can't tell.
Yeah.
At a first look,
Yeah, there's still some telltale signs that you can kind of see. But I actually think
first look.
Yeah, if I were sitting on a huge giant pile of money, and where I would bet, a lot on is things that are physical, like in-person experiences. Shopping malls are already starting to do this. There's, axe throwing and video arcades and like other destination things that, they're trying to, because people are going to get tired of looking at their TV and their phone and their iPad, right? They need to get out and do stuff. And, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk this morning, there was a clip I happened to see on my feed where he was talking about that, very thing, like it's going to be about analog, and getting out there and doing things. And I was talking to people recently about the entertainment industry. Where's that headed with, actors and cinematographers and writers all being replaced by AI fairly quickly in the near future? I said, live theater, I think, is going to have a huge like massive revival, huge push where there's going to be live theaters popping up like in every shopping mall, and actors are all going to flock to that. And so I think, and that gets people out of the house and have something to do. And, so I actually think a lot of experiential things, physical, like analog experiential things, is one of the next big revolutions because of how digital everything's become.
I agree with you, and I love the idea of that. I love the idea of having more live theater and see. There's nothing better than that, to be, in my opinion. But so do you think that creators are building real businesses, or are they dependent on the platforms that they don't control?
It's a good question. I actually think the more interesting answer is most creators are building businesses, when you're talking product businesses, off of white labeling stuff, because that's all they have access to. And all that does is become a hobby business that they sell to their fans. The true way to leverage a fan base and those eyeballs is into a clever, innovative product that now they can have, bring value to their fans, as opposed to just hawking them product, and that's what I'm focused on. Is like, I look at them as a marketing vehicle into a clever brand. And so it's more thinking brand and innovation first, and their audience second. It's like a marketing tool for them. It gives them value because they've got something that they can leverage that can be a $50, $100 million brand, as opposed to just a hobby brand of a white labeled, product that they're copy pasting from some factory, out to somebody else. So, I don't know if that answered your question. You had a different part of that I skipped over.
Yeah, it was just a matter of being dependent on platforms they can't control.
Yeah, there's enough platforms now that, if it doesn't work for a creator on one platform, they're multi-platforming, and that's become a big thing in the creator world. Like, I'll work with a lot of creators where they might have 12 million followers on Instagram and 5 million followers on TikTok and 2 million followers on YouTube, and it's looking at like, okay, if for some reason this isn't working on one of the platforms, or they change the algorithm on one of the platforms where their content isn't getting as much views, or they still have all the other platforms. So a lot of creators are getting smart to not just be tunnel visioned on a singular platform where they might have found their fame, but they're realizing it's like an insurance policy to make sure you're on multi platforms.
Right.
To do it. And eventually, if you're behind a brand and a consumer products brand that grows bigger than who you are, now you're on other platforms with your product, and revenue generation and all that, where you might even be able to just retire and not create content anymore because the brand has become huge. Like, you look at some of these celebrities, they made more money off of some of their brand deals where they just got paid as a sponsor. It wasn't their own brand, than they did in their entire career.
That's an eye-opening thought.
Yeah, things like vitamin water and 50 Cent. You look at rap revenues versus vitamin, or some, and there's many examples like that where quietly behind the scenes, there's been a celebrity who really helped build a brand and take it to the next level, owned an equity chunk that turned into more than they made in their entire career.
Yeah. So why do you think so many people never really move past the idea stage?
So when we were talking about that before, I said I think a lot of it's fear. Some of it is skill sets, and some of it is they naturally just don't have the skills to execute on things. They don't know where to start, don't know what to do. AI can be helpful these days. It can map some of those plans out for you, but you still have to be willing to put in the work, and it's a lot of work, and it dominates your time. And if you don't have that kind of time, you're laughing because, this is your life too, of building a podcast, business, while also having a job and having to balance that. How do I find the time? And,
Yeah, there's another reason why I'm laughing though.
Oh.
My little alarm clock is letting me know that it's almost time to eat.
Oh,
I have 2 French bulldogs, and my boy knows when the show hits an hour, and I don't know how he knows.
It's time to eat,
but he knows, and he starts snuffling at the door, and I just heard him right now as you were talking. So it was a 2-phase laugh. I agreed with everything you were saying, but at the same time, I hear him. under the door.
Your dinner time alarm clock.
Yeah, exactly. He wants his chicken teriyaki tonight. I cook for them every night, so they get a home cooked meal. I eat cornflakes, but they have they get home fresh cooked meals. So what do you see as the as the biggest mistake that founders make when they try to scale?
Having an ego and trying to do too many things themselves. You have to check your ego at the door. You don't know everything, and you need to bring people in to help you on the things you don't know, don't want to do, aren't good at, or sweeping under the rug like you. It's about having a good team and to really grow and build something. You got to give up not only pieces of your company and what you're doing, but also your ego. And I see too many entrepreneurs or people who fancy themselves as entrepreneurs, believing they can do it all and own it all, or own more than they should because they don't want to give up to the people that will help them get there. And by the way, people may be rock stars. They may have the skills to do it all, but you don't physically have the time to do it all.
That's a good point. Time is very important. So it sounds like a trivial little thing, but it's true. You need to be able to invest the time. And yeah, exactly right. So for the person listening right now who has an idea but hasn't taken any action on it, what would you tell them to do first?
Assess whether you really have it in you to want to do that, and is it better to have it as a fun idea you talk about? Because to actually do it, you've got to love the journey. It's not the goal. It's not the money at the end or whatever you think money is going to bring you. And you have to enjoy the journey, and the journey is not easy. So you have to enjoy that struggle of that journey. If that is in you and you love that journey of building something, then absolutely. I actually think AI is a great tool when you can ask it questions like, what should I do? What should I look at? What are my competitors doing? How should I price it? What are the next steps? What are the different vendors I need? You can sit and ask it a lot of those kind of questions. It's a tool that is, I think, being massively underused at the moment right now. That is phenomenal with helping with stuff like that. You literally can have it mentor you on a lot of that, but also finding a good physical mentor in real life who's done it before and had the mistakes and things, and can help you anticipate some of that. AI is only reactive at the moment, but you can have somebody help you proactively be on top of some of those things and spot those. So definitely find a good mentor, a good sounding board of a few friends or people who've done it that you can talk to.
Yeah. Well, Paul, listen, I really enjoyed the conversation. This was a lot of fun. And
likewise.
I appreciate you taking the time for it tonight. So before we wrap everything up, who's someone that you respect right now, and what are they doing that inspires you?
I was actually asked this question recently, and there's very few people that I look to as sort of like any idol or any kind of person I try to emulate. I don't read a lot of the business books. I said the closest person I mentioned already was Gary Vaynerchuk. Mm-hmm. I actually think of a lot of the sort of business motivational people or business minds out there. He's very tactical, and I love that. And it's not just tactical; it's topical, it's actionable. He's really helping people have the roadmap of how to do some of these things. And I find, I used to listen to him heavily. Haven't in a while, but anytime I go back or catch a clip on my feed or whatever, it's literally something I might have just talked about with somebody. I'm like, he's literally seeing the same things I'm seeing out there in business, and seeing the same trends, seeing what's around the corner. And it just comes from talking to a lot of people and spotting stuff. And so I love that he's got his platform and isn't just somebody who's hyping people up or, selling some get rich quick scheme or, some of the things that are out there from a lot of the other talking heads. I like that he's just really good with tactical advice that tends to be spot on every time.
That's great. That's great. And at least you were able to send a fruitcake into space twice, and he didn't.
Yes.
So you beat him on that. All right. So where can folks go to find out more about you and about your work, sir?
Well, paulshrater.com, which is in the little thing below right here, has sort of all the companies I'm doing. But if your brand needs fulfillment, minimusfulfillment.biz. If you need to package a product, food, supplement, beauty, personal care, minimusproducts.biz. TikTok agency help, digitalcommerceagency.com. And
There's
various other things I'm doing, but I think it's all linked on paulshrater.com.
All right. Well, we'll make sure that's I think it is. I think I have it in the notes already, but we'll make sure that it's there if it's not, and whatever other information AI picks up when we generate the show notes. So we'll see how that works out. All right, Paul, thank you again. I really appreciate it, man. This is a great conversation. I loved it. It was fantastic. Love the energy in it. And I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to wrap this thing up, and then I will come back to you and close it out privately.
Awesome. Thank you.
All
I
right.
enjoyed it.
Oh, great, bud. Appreciate it. All right, Paul Shrater. Wow. That was a lot of fun. But listen, folks, tonight's conversation reinforced something very important. That is that ideas don't build businesses. Execution does. Discipline does. Infrastructure does. Most people spend their lives waiting. But the people who build something and build something real don't wait. They act. They build. They execute. You don't need the perfect idea. You need the discipline to act. So just think about that and remember this. Taxation is theft. Remember that. Taxation is theft. That's why the folks over at Diamond Dynasty Tax Group Legacy are in business to help you do your taxes. They did mine for me last year. They did a great job. When we bought the asylum and we did the renovations here, took a stack of receipts and all that stuff. Minimize the stress, maximize the return. Great folks. Check them out. Local business here in Eagle Pass, but you don't need to be in Eagle Pass to use them. So give them a call, 830-867-7106. That's 830-867-7106. Now, normally I wear my hat that says taxation is theft, but it's over there, and I don't feel like getting up to go get it. So Diamond Dynasty Tax Group Legacy, 830-867-7106. Give them a call. Make sure you let them know that you heard it here on The Joe Rooz Show. All right. Now, let's see, shout-out time. Shout-outs to our producing team, executive producers Wayne Rankin, Rosanna Rankin, Carolina Jimenez, Marisa Lee, and the inestimable anonymous Angela. Folks, thank you so much for all the work that you put into the show. And, folks, they donate their time, their talent, their treasure. We call it the 3 T's, time, talent, treasure. And they do a fantastic job. I can't even begin to explain just how much work they do behind the scenes to help us put these shows together. So they could always use some help. So if you want to find out how you can help, just head over to our website, joerooz.com/support. Where's my banner? There it is. joerooz.com/support. And take a look at all the ways you can help us out. You have one-time donations, recurring donations, any amount, or you can sign up to one of our producer tiers. You have the associate producer tier for $17.76 a month. You have the producer tier for $18.36 a month. And then you have the executive producer tier at $25 a month. Now, all the producers get the shout out on every show. They get included in all of our show notes. They get any digest emails that we send out. They get included in that as well. Why? Because they're producers of the show. They help put it all together, so they get the credit for it. Now, executive producers actually get to come on the show with us. They get to spend an hour with us. And that's why we usually do our Wednesdays with Wayne segment. Wayne is the only one out of all my executive producers who have to do it. Okay, so you guys can do that too. Just take a look at the website, and if you have the means to do it, you're able to do it, and you want to do it, we would appreciate that. All right, and I think that should just about do it for me for tonight, folks. All right, so again, thanks to Paul Shrater for joining us tonight. Folks, don't forget to check out the website, joerooz.com, joerooz.com. And open up the web form. Send us a message. Let us know what you think. All righty. I think that's it. I better shut up. Make Texas independent again. Go podcasting. Keep a steady stride. And keep talking. We'll see you on Friday, folks. Have a great night.